What's up, viewers, subscribers, and agents alike? This your boy, Light Luciferian Prince, coming at you. Look at that fly all in your face. I'm coming at y'all. As I said before, a man of my word, sticking to the script, coming on the channel, and I want to talk about expatriation and permanent resident alien status. Expatriation and permanent resident alien status are two things that people need to get through their minds in regards to what sovereignty is and how it applies to you and your commercial status today. Now, see, I'm not going to go into one of those long, drawn-out rants about the government and how it did this and this, that. It's a pirate organization, period, people. I don't give a fuck whether they call it a democracy, they want to call it a Republican form of government, doesn't matter. It's a pirate form of government that established itself upon rape, pillage, and plunder of many indigenous people. Well, unfortunately, they missed a few of us. So, as I'm here today, I'm here to spill to you what the reality is behind what expatriation is. Now, most people are like, well, what's that? So you have this whimsical idea of expatriation where, it's, what could I say, Eurocentric, modern day Eurocentric Caucasoids. They go, jump on a plane, they go to Sweden, and now they want to become a citizen of Sweden. Irrespective of anywhere you go, if you call yourself a citizen of anywhere, you're still underneath the idea of Roman imperialistic law. That's a fact. So you don't want to really call yourself citizen, because the first citizens ever ascribed to society were actually individuals who belonged to the Roman Empire. So irrespective of where you go, whether you're from Anglo-Saxon, Germanic descent, you can be whatever you wish to call yourself, but unfortunately, your forebears have ceded their sovereignty a long time ago. When they said that they wanted a king and a queen to rule over them, and those people are Anglo-Saxon Germanic descent, guess what you did? You are a lineal descendant of those people who actually wanted to cede their sovereignty. And this is the discipline that I want people to really understand, the parallel between the two, because now you understand the concept behind people who are melanated and why you're looked at in regards to the government context of not being favored, because you're not Anglo-Saxon. So you didn't cede your sovereignty. You had to enforce your sovereignty. And while they ceded their sovereignty by ancestral lineage, now you see why you have to expatriate yourself from the concept of citizen, because you can't be, because you're not an Anglo-Saxon Germanic descendant. Let that stick with you. Now, Oath of Renunciation, United States Code, Section 1481, Section A, Section 5. Section A says, a person who is a national of the United States, whether by birth or naturalization, shall lose his nationality by number 5, making a formal renunciation of nationality before a diplomatic or consular officer of the United States in a foreign state, which is the so-called lowercase domicile in which you live, in such form as may be prescribed by the Secretary of State. So now you have to realize that, first off, two things. One, there's a form. Two, there's an action, which is a renunciation. And 3, is before a diplomatic and consular officer. So citizenship is voluntary, people. You don't really have to be a United States citizen. Some of you have been duped into believing that you are a United States citizen. Some of you people say, I'm African American. Some of you call yourselves all sorts of appellations that the Protestant establishment, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant establishment, has given you. And that's insane. People say, I'm Christian. No, you're not. You know what I'm saying? You're not. That's white Protestant Christianity that embedded itself into the conscience of you because it stripped you of your raw spirituality. We'll get there later on in my series. Just stick with me. United States Code 1182, Section 820. Any immigrant who at the time of application is not in possession of a valid unexpired immigrant visa, reentry permit, border crossing identification card, or other valid entry document required by this chapter is excludable. Wow. The provisions of the law say, according to their law, their Roman, Anglo-Saxon, Germanic law says you're excluded. So long story short, people, what does this entail? It means that you have to make a formal renunciation before a consular officer. You have to say, hey, this is the reason why I don't want to be a part of the United States. And I'm going to give you an example. My example, what I did myself to expatriate myself from the United States. And this is also a public declaration for those people who are also ignorant. So agents, please have a seat in the back. Check this out. Let me just give you an idea. This is what I said. I, Lord Blank of Blank, secure party creditor, does hereby formally renounce my coerced nationality, and I hereby relinquish any allegiance unto the United States Corporation. It is in alignment of my personal convictions, beliefs, and education that the United States Corporation does operate under the fraud and deception of a free democratic society, while maintaining the facade of popular vote, when indeed historically this land was plundered and raped of its vitality and stripped the inhabitants of its native title. It also operates under the jurisdiction of the Holy See in ancient agreements with the occupying power of the British Crown, which has imposed itself for centuries as a predatory foreign power designed to keep us in a state of colonial dependence and impoverishment. I state as a fact that the Crown Company first formed as the Union of Crowns by so-called King James I and secretly granted false claims and rights by the Roman cult concerning ownership of the lands known as North America above the 38th parallel, and subsequently granted by franchise to two companies under royal charter in 1605, and subsequently revised charter commonly known as the Virginia Company, today or simply known as the Company, has neither surrendered its false claims of right nor effective control of these lands today. As much as many may believe, they live under a democratic government formed by the people for the people according to a constitution. The true legal status of this instrument is merely the bylaws and memorandums and articles of a corporation, being a franchise, granted exclusive rights by the Virginia Company, charter also known as the Company. Having never surrendered its exclusive and false claim to the land, and as such, the United States of America remains no more than a corporation today, still legally owned by the Company. Since that time, Americans have been living under the false impression that the state and the people exist under the protection of original law of a sovereign nation and not a franchise of the Crown of England, with nothing changing before or after the so-called War on Independence, other than the deliberate fraud perpetuated to men and women living in America that they live in a democracy, rather than under the jurisdiction of a private franchise. I also contend that the Crown and its chartered companies and agents have demonstrated a consistent lack of respect for the land and to the men and women who occupy it, including their own settlers, instead stealing the wealth and prosperity for a precious few, while denying the majority of a share of such prosperity for the many. I completely reject the assertion that the present form of government of the United States in any way represents a free and fair democratic society, but is in fact nothing more than a charade and fraud using the outward symbols of freedom, fairness, and justice, but with the effect of denying the fulfillment of a truly free and equitable society, whilst wholly protecting the Crown interests and that of the Holy See. Through the control of all lands and resources in the United States of America, by the Crown and reducing the Americans to the status of landless subjects of a foreign power under legal authority of a single representative of the Crown, Americans remain nothing more than modern-day serfs in a neo-feudal society and paupers in our own land. As there remains no present institutional remedy for such a condition of slavery, since every level of legal and political authority in the United States of America operates under the lie and denial that ancient agreements between the Holy See and the Crown remain in effect. I hereby relinquish any ties, allegiance, contracts, oaths, and declarations with the United States, Inc., as it is a fraud and sham foisted upon the conscience of the American people. As a Luciferian, and as an assigned initiate into the Brotherhood of Light, I hereby declare my nationality and origin in the universe in the beginning of days and light. I am a transient here on this distinct appellate called Earth. I am a craftsman of the great architect of the universe, and I hereby prove my sovereignty by the square and compass. My nativity is in the East, and my status here is renounced as a subject of the United States, Inc., without prejudice, without recourse. That's just an example, people. It's just that easy. You got to know who you are before you can embark upon this path. And that was in less than 10 minutes. Straight. Now, how do you do this? Well, I'll leave it in the video description below. But you go to the immigration's office, where local consul's office, wherever you're at, and you just ask them for an oath of renunciation for your charge. Yeah, they're going to sit you down. You're going to go have your minutes recorded. You're going to basically make your declaration. Mine was a little longer than most people because there's a little paragraph that's on the form like this big. That's like a pre-cut, prefab idea. Develop your own consciousness. And remember, citizenship is voluntary. So agents, you know what I'm saying? And y'all stop using yourselves as a revenue basis for the people, man, because you work hard for your own, to be provided for in your own right. So why do you give it to somebody else? So the few who get that concept, yes, great, come. But the many, man, this is not for you. This is what it is. Y'all take care. Stay tuned for the next video. Peace. I love y'all. And agents, you know what it is.